Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you very much for attending our Global Virtual Open Day 2020, and welcome to the Global BBA Online Info Session. So during this session, what I will do is I'll walk you through the program, addressing several frequently asked questions that we get. With me today, we have and he is the head of career services, alumni, and corporate relations, as well as three of our global BBA student ambassadors who we are very proud of. So we have Rehan Muammar, Rinalyn Pagao, and Niklas Schmidt. They will be telling us more about their experiences at ESSEC, and they will be joining us in a little bit. All right, so we'll get started. So we'll first, the idea is to walk you through the program. So in this program, four-year program, and we welcome young graduates who are, have a very strong academic profile, and they are committed to studying business, being in the world of business, and also want to immerse themselves in international experiences. So what our intent is throughout the program is to help them fulfill their expectations, help them realize their potential, and turn them into seasoned professionals and responsible citizens. So the idea is that I'll first walk you through, tell you a little bit about our school, a little bit about the ESSEC Asia-Pacific campus that we have here in Singapore, the global BBA program, and then talk about the application and the tuition fees. All right, so ESSEC Business School, we've been around since 1907. We were based in France. We still are based in France. Our motto is the pioneering spirit, and we embody that in every walk of the way. We are the first school that was recognized by ASCSB, the first school outside North America, actually, to be recognized by ASCSB, which is the #1 accreditation body. We're also the first school to be partnering with companies to set up what we call corporate chairs. We came to Singapore in 1905 upon the invitation of the EDB, the Education Development Board. 2005. So 2015 is when we had our full-fledged campus here in Singapore. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, the business leaders that we have amongst us are all ESSEC alumni, and they are leading businesses in Singapore and in the region. For example, we have Reetika Natarajan, and she heads UBS Wealth Management, the banking products division at APAC. We have Emily Kuthon, who's the vice president at Accor Hotels. Chris Chong, who's managing director, capital and retail. And we have Mark Lansonier, who's the managing director at DBS Bank. So you can see that we have leaders in the business world who have graduated from alumni, and of course we are very, very proud of them. So some key facts. So ESSEC is in the Financial Times 2019 rankings. We were accredited the 7th best European business school. We are Triple Crown accredited by ASCSB, EQUIS, and AMBA, and it's held by the top 1% of business schools globally. So we have 4 campuses. We have 2 campuses in France. One is Cergy, which is our main campus. We have a campus also in Paris, which is La Défense, and that's where most of our executive programs are held. And we have a campus in Singapore, and we have a campus in Rabat in Morocco. We have 21 corporate chairs. So these are chairs where we are partnering with other companies and to set up these chairs. They are Accenture, Chanel, L'Oreal, LVMH, and so on. Our student body currently is at about 6,000 students across 98 different nationalities. So we are a very, very diverse business school. We have 162 permanent faculties, and they're across, again, they are very diverse as well and very international. They're across 36 different nationalities. And out of this 162 permanent faculty, we have 21 of those faculty who are based here out of Singapore. We have 60,000 alumni worldwide, and many of them are, again, based in Singapore and in the general APAC region. So now moving on to our campus here in ESSEC Asia-Pacific. As I had said earlier, that we were invited by the Education Development Board along with Chicago Booth and UNSW, University of New South Wales, to set up a campus here in Singapore. And we are very privileged to have gotten that honor, and we are committed to contributing to the business and to the education ecosystem of Singapore and the region. We have our campus we've had a full-fledged campus at One North since 2015. Before that, we were housed at the National Library. In this campus, we offer courses across the board. So we have undergraduate courses and postgraduate courses, as well as executive education. We have the Global BBA, as you know. We have the Masters in Management. We have specialized masters in marketing and digital, in international business, and so on. At a time, we have 600 students who are enrolled across all our programs, and out of that, half of the students make up the Global BBA student body. We have an extremely strong support system with the career services team who support the students in their career interests, and we have Larry who will be talking about it in a few minutes. We have a campus experience manager, and he manages all the extracurricular activities that students delve in along with the student council. We have an academic affairs team which supports the students, in terms of academic issues, scheduling, classes, and so on. And then we have student ambassadors, and student ambassadors play a huge role. They inspire students and help students who are looking to apply, in the program, as well as representing student interests, student voices, student issues while students are in the program. So they are, as you can see, they are very busy in addition to following their academic program. So our campus here actually really serves as a gateway to Asia and Europe. So that's our campus. It's an aerial view. It looks very pretty from up top, but also if you walk into a campus, it is an architectural delight. A little bit about our strategic location. So we are based in One North. And we are wedged between the pharma hub, where all the pharma companies are situated, which is like 2 blocks from us, and that's known as the Biopolis, and Fusionopolis, which is the technology hub, where all the tech companies are housed, which is literally across the street from us. As well as we are very strategically located next to A-STAR, which is a scientific group of companies and policymakers, as well as the JTC Launchpad, which is the densest startup hub in the world. Now, what does that mean for our students? How do we benefit from that? What it means is that we have professionals from all of these, different companies who are in and out of our classrooms all the time, coming and speaking to students, networking with them, encouraging them. Therefore, these companies also serve as providing internship opportunities to students and gives them an opportunity to network as well. So now moving on to the Global BBA program. Like I said, the Global BBA program started in 1975. It obviously started in France, and we still have the program in France. Only about 4 years ago is when we had the program starting on the Singapore campus, and we call this a 2+2 program. So typically students are spending 2 years here in Singapore and then moving on to France to completing their program in France. So our program is ranked #1. It's the #1 BBA in France. As you know, in Singapore as well, we have a lot of students who choose to start French students who start their program in France. And so they are the best of the best in France because of our ranking in France. We all realize today that businesses today are multicultural and multipolar. So we feel the need to customize our curriculum on a continuous basis. So the courses that are offered change year on year to stay current to the needs of the business world. So students are in the 4 years getting an academic training in the fundamentals of business, especially in the first 2 years. In the last 2 years, they continue to do fundamentals in business and accounting, marketing, strategy, HR, and so on. But they also then at that point in time get to choose electives. So courses that they are specifically interested in. We also realize that companies today are going local and global at the same time. So we do want our students to graduate with a substantive amount of professional experience. And this professional experience, or internships as we call it, is a very key component of our program, and it differentiates us from other business programs as well. So at a minimum, students are doing 10 months of global internship, and that could be possibly extended to 16 months depending on the type of internship that you're doing. So let me break that up for you. So at the end of their first year, they are doing what we call a 3-month operational internship. And then sometime in their 3rd and 4th year, and that's up to the student's choice, they are doing what is known as a managerial internship. So this managerial internship lasts for 6 months, and it's mandatory, and they have to do it. So for 1 semester in their 3rd or 4th year, they are doing the managerial internship. Now, we also have what is known as a social internship, which is something that they do for a month at the end of their 2nd year. And you may ask that question, why a social internship? Because we realize that business leaders need to lead with compassion and empathy. And this is one way that students can pick up those, the skill set that's required to be able to lead with compassion and empathy. And the social internship is at the end of the 2nd year, and they do it for 1 month. It could be at a nonprofit, it could be at an NGO. And Larry's going to speak more about this later, but I wanted to also make the point that our career services team is dedicated to helping students find these internships, and they work very, very closely with them, be it resume development or coaching them on interviews and helping them scout for companies and so on. We have also mandatorily, as part of our program, students need to do a 6-month exchange program at one of our partner universities. I will list the partner universities in a few slides. Now, it's 6 months for most students, but if a student is on the dean's list, so that is basically the top 10% of our student body, that's about 40 students plus, they get an opportunity to do it for a year instead of 6 months. So that's a privilege for those students. We also believe in our program because it is so global and so international in nature, and we want students to have the training to be that international leader, is the proficiency in languages. So students need to learn at least 3 languages. English, so they need to learn the business English, which all students learn, and then they have an option to learn, not an option, they have to choose 2 languages from all the languages that we offer. So on the Singapore campus, we offer French, we offer German, Mandarin, Japanese, and so on. All right, so here a little bit, from our alumni who we are very, very proud of, and who are really the people who are taking the program forward. So this is Brian Blanchard. He was the first graduating batch of the Singapore campus. So like I said, our program is for this 2+2 program is 4 years old, and Brian is belongs to the first graduating batch, and he's really been a role model for the students, for the interested students and the students who are in the program. What he liked about the program was the very flexible nature of the program, where he was able to tailor his program according to his interests. So right now, very proud to state that he is the digital marketing manager of Shine in France. So he's based in France. Then we have Simran. So she is currently in her 3rd year. So she's a student from India, from Kolkata. And what she says the program enabled her to do is to gain all the internships was a big component of her program, the operational, the social, and the managerial internship. She was always interested in finance and did a really smart job of tailoring her internships in accordingly. She's right now, she's on our dean's list, so she is eligible for the 1-year international exchange. So she right now at National University of Singapore doing a 1-year academic exchange with the partner university. All right, so let's dive straight into the program. So the program is very, very multifaceted. Basically, in the first 2 years, students are taking foundation courses across, the business disciplines of accounting, finance, economics, marketing, and so on. In the first year, it's standard for all students. They could start the program at ESSEC Singapore campus or the French campus, but I'm going to walk you through a scenario for a student who chooses to start the program in Singapore. So in the first year, you're taking all the foundational courses. End of your first year, like I said, you are going to be doing the operational internship for 3 months. In your second year, you continue to take the foundation courses, except that you also have a choice of the campus that you want to study from. So for 6 months in that second year, you could choose to study in France or in Morocco, if that's what you desire. So some students have chosen to do that. So if, for example, in year 2, in your third semester, if you choose to study in France, you can do it for a semester, and then you come back and you do your semester 4 in Singapore. At the end of your second year, you are required to do what we call the social internship, like I described. So that's the first 2 years. You start out in the Singapore campus. After you finish the first 2 years, that's when you move on to France, and you're completing your studies at our Cergy campus. Now, in those 2 years, you are allowed to tailor your program to a large extent. You can determine when you want to do the managerial internship. It can be any semester in your third and fourth year. And also you get to choose when you do the international exchange. Again, that can be any time in your third and fourth year. Now, students also have an option, students who start out in Singapore and all students have an option of finishing your program at the Singapore campus. So in the last semester, you have an opportunity to come back and complete the course here. I want to also at this point talk about the IBA track. It is a specialized track within the BBA program. You still graduate with the global BBA degree, but it has a slightly different characteristic to it. So the way this works is sometime in your first year, if you're interested, it's a very international track. If you decide to apply to this program, you do so at the end of your first year. And it's a very competitive program because many students apply. So the way it works is that once you're selected, you study with students from University of Mannheim, University of South Carolina, and FGV IBAPE in Brazil. So they 10 students from each of these campuses and 10 students from ESSEC who are selected study together as a cohort. Towards the end of your second year, you start studying in the different campuses. So you're studying in the United States, in Germany, and then in Brazil. So as you can see, it is a very, very international program, and that's a choice that students have to make. I mean, if you're interested in it, then this is what you go for. But then there are students who want to, focus their education in Singapore and in France, and then they just choose to do the 2+2 program. Okay. All right, so this is just to showcase some of the projects that students work on. We really believe in the idea of learning by doing, where students get an opportunity to put the learning that happens in the classroom, to real life business world problems. So they do that through internships as well as through projects that occur during their academic program. So these are just some Singaporean companies that the IBA students worked with. You have Decathlon, SCash, Startup O, it's an incubator, Mr. Chrono. All right, so this is, if you recall, I talked about how students need to spend 6 months in one of our partner universities, and Dean's List students get a year to spend. So these are our partner universities. We have 170 of them. We're just listing the top few, which is University of Michigan, King's College, EQST, National University of Singapore. Now, I also want to mention that students also have an opportunity to do what is known as a double degree program. So that means that you would get a degree from ESSEC and from one of our double degree partner universities. They are listed on the right. And in a double degree program, students get to spend an entire year in one of our partner universities. Okay. All right, so we have Kevin. So a little bit from Kevin. Kevin is, from one of the premier educational, high schools in Singapore, Raffles, and he's currently a business analyst at FDM Group Consulting. What he took away from the program was the values that the program had towards making him become a forward-thinking professional. We have Janice. Janice is from an international school here in Singapore, so she comes from the Singapore American School. Now, it's interesting, she was always interested in marketing, so she is someone who did a part-time internship while she was studying. So again, that's up to the student if they are able to manage that and so on, but that's again a great format to follow in the program. What she really got out of the program was the international environment and to learn in multiple languages. And at the end of her 4 years, she is basically would have studied in 3 different countries. That's a huge asset to someone graduating in business and looking for employment opportunities. All right, so I talked about how we do have professionals in and out of our classrooms all the time. That could be organized by the instructors themselves, as well as the career services team, who on a very regular basis have what we know as a lunchtime professional series. So these are just showcasing some of the professionals who've visited our campus and shared their experience, their domain knowledge, their career experiences, how they shaped their careers, and also just to encourage students about working in the real world. All right. So aside from, we don't really only want students to study. I mean that would be very, very tenuous. We do want them to have a balance. So as a result, we have multiple student organizations which are running on campus, and their activities which range from sports and outdoors. They participate in multiple inter-university competitions, sports competitions, TEDx talks, and so on. So we have. And again, the student council plays a very important role in organizing them as well. So there are numerous cultural organizations. You have the Chinese Cultural Group, Indian Cultural Group. We also have many quasi-academic clubs. So we have the marketing club, the investment club, and so on. We really cover the wide range. And as you can see, students are very enthusiastic and they do want to have a life beyond campus and participate in all of these events. All right, so just to let you know that right now we do have, we have 4 rounds of admission, and the 3rd round is, that's the next round, is closes on March 2nd, and the admission results get released pretty soon after that, around April 15th. And the way it works is that you submit your application, and then the shortlisted candidates are called for an interview. If you're not based in Singapore, then the interviews typically occur through Skype. If you're interested, that's the email that you want to get in touch with. And we also offer scholarships. So depending on the meritocracy of the students, and we have 2 kinds of scholarships. We have an academic excellence scholarship, and they typically range up to 25% of the total tuition fees, and a regional diversity scholarship, which is offered to students who have a very diverse profile. Our tuition fees are an SGD 22,600. Okay, per year. All right, so that's what I have for you. I'm going to, pass the floor to Mr. Medina, Larry Medina, who's going to tell you more about how the Career Services team supports our BBA program. Over to you.
Thank you, Reetika. So good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for attending our virtual open day. So my name is Larry Medina. I manage Career Services, Corporate, and Alumni Relations here in Singapore. And just to walk you through the services that we provide to all the programs, and this is specific to the BBA program. Oh, sorry. Okay, just to kick off, we have a dedicated team here in Singapore to support the students. This team has been expanded about 18 months ago, and we know the importance of career support for students, and so we expanded the team with seasoned professionals. It's myself. I have 4 staff that support students and alumni. They come from other top universities in Singapore, and so combined they have about 80 years of experience. They're coming with industry experience, sometimes in HR functions, through executive search firms, so staffing companies, and most importantly, through career services and understanding how career services should be provided to students. One thing that I look for when staffing the team, of course, is network. Network is extremely important. And so the team has a strong network here in Singapore, in Southeast Asia, and throughout Asia, tapping our network where we can to build relationships. I'm going to talk a bit about it a little bit later, but obviously the most important network that we have is our alumni network and how they support us with students and internships and job search as well. So now just to talk a bit about the career services that we provide to the students. And really it's all aspects from being reflective and understand each student understanding their skills, motivators, and interests, through networking and really developing specific tools. So Reetika briefly mentioned professional talks. So bringing in guest speakers, usually those guest speakers are about 80% alumni. 20% will be friends of ESSEC or personal friends of the team that we can bring in to give a talk, usually about their career path, about their company, about their industry. We do one-on-one consulting for each student. We're available for them to come in and discuss their career aspirations with us. They can be anything from exploring, so understanding, again, their skills, motivators, and interests, and what would they like to do, and talking through that, all the way through more tactical items such as resumes, CVs, cover letters, interview skills, networking, et cetera. So the door is always open. One really nice thing about ESSEC Asia-Pacific here in Singapore is we're a small team, and our goal really is to be available for students when they need help. Career workshops, I'm gonna skip over this real quickly because I have another slide that talks about this more in depth, but they typically will be 1, 2, 3 hour sessions where either my staff, I, or external trainers will come in to discuss a specific topic. My eyesight's failing me. Interview preparation. So as a student gets closer to a job and they get into the interview process with a company, we always encourage them to approach us to do a mock interview where we do go through an interview, typical questions that will be asked during the interview. They can practice their answers and we can give them thoughts and feedback about their answers. Company visits, so going out and actually meeting companies on their site. It can be things like retail, such as Cartier or Van Cleef Arpels we went to. It can be things like MediaCorp, so we've taken groups of students to BBA students to MediaCorp, DHL Innovation Hub as well. And then career events. So we have one big event for the BBAs that happens in March. We call it Talent Day. It's actually a career fair that we will host here on campus. Last year we had 35 companies across a variety of industries. It can be consulting, financial services, technology, et cetera. So the goal is really to get a wide variety of companies to come to meet students. It's a good chance for them to practice their pitch and to get to know more about the company and understand what types of opportunities are available. Okay, so a bit about workshops. So the first one is the introduction to career services, who we are and how to engage with us. Career discovery, again, this was a bit what I was talking about earlier about understanding everybody is unique and understanding what are their interests and the types of industries that they might be interested in, whether it's marketing, finance, HR, operations, talk about the various functional options that are available to students, and then really begin to start to talk about what internship search should look like for them. Okay, so the tactical tools that everybody needs, so resumes and cover letters. So we have a CV workshop, resume workshop, and cover letters to talk about what are the general best practices that they should consider when putting those two tools together. Personal branding, so a bit of reflection about who you are, how you want to project yourself to a potential employer, whether you're going for startup, which has obviously a bit of a different flavor than maybe going for a big bank or financial services. So really understanding what branding is and how a student would need to approach that. Internship search, so with the year one, obviously it's really critical to find the first internship and how to go about that. A lot of that revolves around networking with alumni. We post jobs on our internal job board called ESSEC Career Center, but I always emphasize that the universe of internships is much larger than that, and really networking is a critical skill. And then finally, what I just mentioned, networking workshops. So whether you're a student or into your career already, or even at my age, the number one way to find a job is always through networking. I mentioned it a bit earlier. I want to emphasize it again that the ESSEC alumni are fabulous about supporting us and being a resource for students if they're interested in a specific industry or company. How to reach out to them, how to have a coffee chat, and how to get more information about potential opportunities in that company. Okay, so a bit of photos. So this Reetika already showed this slide, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I just want to say that our goal is to always bring a variety of speakers on campus across industries. I think especially for BBA year one, year two, I know when I was at that stage of my studies, there were a lot of companies that I had no idea existed. And so I think it's important for us to bring in a variety of companies to really potentially expose and maybe excite about a company or an industry that maybe students hadn't thought about previously. Company visits, which I mentioned previously. So again, more photos for you about some of the company visits that we've done previously. One thing that I want to say is that Singapore is a bit of a hotbed for innovation labs. And so I know last year we did take the BBAs to the DHL Innovation Lab. There's a lot of new ones that are based in Singapore now. There's Schneider Electric just opened, Bolloré, Visa, for example. And so my team is always searching for companies that are willing to host students. In general, they like to show off their innovation lab, and so it's usually a good way to get students in to meet and to learn something new about a company. So finally, networking with alumni. I mentioned our alumni base already. We do have a variety of alumni events. Sometimes they're on campus, sometimes they're within the CBD, the Central Business District of Singapore. For our alumni events, I would say 90% are open to students as well. So we recently had one at the Asian Civilization Museum, including students from Europe that were visiting Singapore, including our alumni and including students as well. And so this is a good way to really get engagement and a chance for our students to network with our alumni base. A bit about trends. I think I'm running out of time, but I'll go through this. The trends that we're seeing in the marketplace. I'm not going to read this slide to you, but the two words that I highlighted, one, of course, is digitalization. So whether it's big tech or traditional companies, they're being very rapidly disrupted through digitalization, artificial intelligence, et cetera. What we're seeing and what we're hearing from HR managers is that basically hybrid roles are starting to become very popular. So a combination of, let's say, business intelligence and analysts, it's really merging insights, analytics, and marketing function, right? So some of these functions used to be a bit unique or separated, and now they're starting to blend together. The way that we work, the types of roles are changing rapidly. One of our goals at the Career Center is to make sure students understand that this is an opportunity rather than a threat, that these hybrid roles are starting to come about. And I think the way that we teach at ESSEC will build those capabilities and give our students an edge in the job market. Finally, hiring trends in Singapore. So a couple of them I've mentioned already. Obviously, everything data and digital is very hot in this job market. Singapore and the Economic Development Board seeks out companies that are doing cutting edge and fairly high level types of roles, so data and digital. Technology, so we see the most active hiring from big tech. Technology companies are expanding, whether Facebook's opening a large facility in Singapore, Grab, who we've had on campus several times, is opening an office just down the block from where the ESSEC Asia-Pacific campus is. Startups, we see a lot of activity with startups. They like BBA Year One for internships. We have a lot of ESSEC entrepreneurs and French entrepreneurs in Singapore that know ESSEC very well and like to hire our students. And then finally, I want to just emphasize languages. All languages are good, I emphasize that. But because Singapore is in the heart of the Southeast Asia growth story, we see a strong demand for local Southeast Asia languages. I would say European languages are still very powerful as well because a lot of companies are familiar with ESSEC and they like students that speak French, for example, because they can communicate back with their headquarters back in France. So that's it for hiring trends. I'd just like to thank you for your attention and hand the mic back over to Reetika.
Thank you so much, Larry, for outlining the support services that are provided to our BBA students. And of course, as you saw, this forms a very important component of our program. And thank you for supporting us. So now over to the ambassadors. So first we have Rehan, and he is again from our graduating batch, the first graduating batch of the Singapore track. So thank you, Rehan, for joining us. So he's someone who decided to continue his education post his undergrad program. So he's currently in a master's in marketing and digital program at the Singapore campus. So Rehan's here to share his experience with us.
All right. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rehan, and I am currently a master's in marketing management student in ESSEC Business School. I am actually the first batch of graduates for BBA as well, so along with Brian and also Kevin, know them pretty well. So perhaps I'll start by going through my reasonings of why I joined ESSEC Asia-Pacific as a first batch. And the first reason would be the fact that ESSEC Asia-Pacific, when I see how they design the program, it gives me an international exposure and a gateway to these international experiences that I can gather in the future years to come. So from what we see from the previous slides, we know that it provides the opportunity for myself and the students to do several internships. It can be anywhere, and also the exchange program. And I actually was part of the Dean's List at that time, so I had the honor to have the one-year exchange program in King's College London, and I will talk a little bit more about that. And also the second reason is the fact that we can learn by doing most of the time. So I realized that universities nowadays, they tend to base their gradings on exams, while I'm really aware here that they base their gradings, especially in the marketing, on group projects, as well as class participation. You get to share your opinions with different individuals from different backgrounds, different nationalities, from France, from the US, Germany, and so on. And last but not least is the fact that I get to learn new languages. So after I graduated from ESSEC, I get to speak two new languages, that being French, of course, as well as Mandarin. So apart from the Bahasa Indonesia that, as Larry said, that it's a huge asset for Singapore, it's a really powerful tool for me to sell myself in the corporate world in the future. So right now, I did my one-year exchange program at King's College London. This is another good thing about ESSEC is that it gives me these exposures of choosing the university that you want to have an exchange to, and in my case, it was in London. It was a really good experience. I did that with Kevin as well, actually. So we get to have a little bit of adventure in London, being just the two of us, being the first pioneer of the BBA program in London. And overall, we get to meet new people from many different backgrounds, universities. We met some people who had an exchange in ESSEC in Seljuk as well. So that was a really interesting experience. And apart from that, I also did my internship and my exchange program in Seljuk as well. It's not really an exchange program, but it's I spent a semester there, so I get to experience the full exposure of the ESSEC experience and meeting with the rest of the batch of the BBA program as well. And for internships, another good thing for ESSEC is that we have the opportunity to do a variety of different internships, and in my case, I took this opportunity to try on corporate, the MNCs, the bank. I went to the UOB in Indonesia, and I also went to a startup because I wanted to experience the both sides of the world, and so that it makes me aware in the future which would I be more interested in, whether it's a startup world that's more chill, easygoing, but you require a lot of more work, or it will be the corporate MNC environment. So from then on, the reason why I joined the marketing program, I continued to masters in ESSEC is because throughout this internship, throughout this exchanges program, throughout my time learning marketing with ESSEC, I realized that marketing has been my forte, or my underlying talent that I think I have, and I'm looking forward to continuing finishing these studies with ESSEC as well. So now I'm going to pass the mic to Rinaldi.
Yeah. So thank you, Rehan. So basically, you spent 4 years in across 4 different countries, right? So that's fabulous. So thank you for sharing your experience. So Rinalin, so we have Rinalin, who is going to be the second graduating batch of our Singapore track. So interesting, Rinalin has spent the first 2 years in Singapore, went on to France, and then she's someone who is choosing to finish her program here at the Singapore campus. And prior to this, she just finished her internship, right? Right, about to finish. So go on, Rinalin, share your experience with us, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Reetika. So hi, everyone. My name is Rina. People call me Rina. It's shorter. And I am on my 4th year now of the program, and I'm actually a scholar of ESSEC. And right now, she's right. I'm completing my internship. I'm gonna complete it this month. First, I would like to talk about the reason why I chose this program, the Global BBA program. I have 3 main reasons. First is, as Rehan said, it's the international experience. That's the #1 that I was looking for. And second is, it's the diversity of students. We have a lot of students all over the world, and it's very true in my batch. I'm the second batch of the program, and I got to know the culture, I got to know the people around me through talking to them, and really it's about when you look at our class in a particular setup, it feels to me like you're looking in the world, because it's very diverse, especially from people in Asia and also in the Europe and other parts of the world. And lastly, it's the mobility. mobility because I got to experience this, I got to tailor my own course as Ritika mentioned. So I am a perfect example of the track that she mentioned. So I spent my first 2 years here in Singapore, and then I've chosen to be in Europe for another year. So I spent my semester 5 in Sergi, and then I got to also do my exchange. I chose to be in Europe as well because I thought I wanted to get to know more of the culture and to get to know more of the European market. So I went to University of Barcelona for 6 months, and I just finished it last year, which is very, very nice. So imagine you can do your studies, an undergrad program for 4 years in 3 different countries. So that's the very A plus for me choosing ESSEC. And now I'll walk you through my experience in terms of internship. So I am someone who's very passionate about social businesses. Prior to my prior degree before ESSEC, I was doing the diploma in social entrepreneurship, and I really thought of it that it's the future. So I chose my first operational internship during my first year to be back in the Philippines because I wanted to really start the business there. So I did the business associate internship in an organization, and it was really an amazing experience. I got to expose in different parts of the countries and really apply the basic core skills that ESSEC has been teaching us. And then on my second year, I spent my humanitarian experience or the social internship experience here in Singapore. So I helped an organization relating to social entrepreneurship who's helping the social entrepreneurs. And I spent a month, and it's really a mind-blowing experience to me. And yeah, so, and then finally this managerial experience, like the managerial internship, I think it's really through the career services that has helped me a lot in terms of like landing to the perfect internship that will fit my interests. So I wanted to be in a company which is very diverse and a company that can give me the exposure, and ideally a French company, and it was Sorella who helped me a lot. And I'm very proud to say that I'm finishing my internship soon. I'm with the finance department, and basically I was doing the corporate finance reporting and consolidation, and it really teaches me a lot of in terms of professionalism, in terms of what it is really to be in a professional setup after graduation. And also, it's important for me to mention about the exchange program. So I feel like all throughout the journey of this program, this exchange is the best or the highlight of my studies because I've got to immerse myself in a foreign country, like totally new to me, and then I've got to really get to know other people and get to reflect of what it is that I really wanted. And it was an amazing experience, like just to go to other universities and get to know what they're doing as well. So yeah, and then finally about the courses, like how is the courses here in Singapore or here in ESSEC, the program? So we have 3 main courses. I mean, I'll consider 3 main courses. Like first one are the hardcore courses, like it's about the accounting, like business courses, marketing, and all the other finance and then supply chain and everything. So it's a bit rigorous because you have to really know the theoretical things because you have to apply it in your internship. And also we have soft skill learnings. So it's more about personal development, self-expression that they've been also focusing for us to have it because we believe in this pioneering spirit. And I agree that it's true that for the leaders, we have to really develop the soft skills as well. And also the languages, we do learn languages. For me, I am learning Spanish and then French and also English. So that's all. I'm going to pass over to Nicholas now.
All right. Thank you so much, Rinalyn. So now we have Nicholas. So Nicholas is in the first year of the program, and we're very proud to have him. Just had him in my marketing class last semester, and he was an asset. So Nicholas, tell us a little bit about your experience. Nicholas is also someone who manages his academics and outside school activities fabulously. So and he's, I believe, campaigning for the student council as well. So go ahead, Nicholas.
So basically, my name is Nicholas, and I've just completed my first semester here at ESSEC in Singapore. And today, given the fact that I've only been here for that little time, I'd like to focus on why I chose ESSEC, but also what my experience has been so far. So basically, and my fellow student ambassadors spoke about this quite a bit, I chose ESSEC for number one reason, and that was the fact that they took such a well-rounded approach to their learning, honing students, because obviously it is a great business school. They offer a very rigorous business course and business courses. But beyond that, they really try to shape international, well-rounded business leaders in many departments. And they really focus on personal development, personal self-actualization. So you will be exposed to lots of opportunities I have. And I was very happy to take them on. And it has really done wonders for me so far. And basically, in one semester, in the beginning, I'm not going to lie, I was very scared at first, because being exposed to a completely new country, going to a university composed of mainly French people, I thought maybe I wouldn't fit in, maybe it was going to be I was going to have a tough time, but there was great integration going on. There was an amazing student council that took care of us. There was Tanir, who's in charge of Campus Live, and he really went to great lengths to make sure that we integrate well. We had lots of events going on, and after a week, I was honestly, it was like I met a second family. They were so welcoming. It was a really nurturing environment when it comes to academics, beyond the campus, but also career opportunities. Every institution, every person in the SEC really tries to make sure that you're well looked after and develop accordingly, and that is something that I have appreciated a lot. And if I had to choose a SEC again, I would definitely do it for that reason alone.
Yeah. Great. So thank you. So thank you to all the student ambassadors. So just wanted to remind you that our next round of applications is in March. And please, if you have the email address, should you be interested and would like to apply. So we are done with our session. So thank you, Larry. Thank you, student ambassadors, for coming out on a Saturday and sharing your experiences, with our online viewers. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. I know it's a Saturday morning or afternoon for some of you, so thank you for taking the time. Just wanted to also remind you that our next session is at 2 p.m. And that's going to be Beyond Innovation, Addressing Critical Challenges for Learning and Survival from 2 to 3 p.m. So do please tune in if you're interested in this topic. Thank you again.